Hello, it is August 18th, 2022. 855 days left until Sonic the Movie 3 drops. Your number one source for all the Sonic 3 the movie news every week. And also this week, we have a couple ranking segments. We have ranking of video game movies, where we're going to rank Uncharted, and ranking of Cage. We're going to be doing Racing with the Moon today. Um, yeah, so we'll start things off with Sonic the Movie 3 news. Well, actually, we'll introduce ourselves first. I'm Colton Wallace. My co host, Quinn Foster, drinking a Corona, and Scott Kudron.
Hello.
Anyways, with it being 855 days until Sonic the Movie 3, how are you guys feeling about it?
I think I'm indifferent.
All right, so
How dare you? Sonic the 3 will be the greatest masterpiece of our time. It deserves your anticipation.
there's no actual news this week. We got a slow hype train building. We got a couple years left, so
That just means the anticipation has time to build.
yeah, how's the week for you guys?
Mine was pretty normal, I think. I mean, I didn't do too much.
Yeah.
I think we played a little Monster Hunter World over the weekend. And that was Colton and I did, and that was pretty fun. We beat one of the Elder Dragons. We beat what's his name?
Which one?
Xeno Jiva, I think.
Oh yeah,
This is
that's
Xeno
the final
Jiva's-
boss of the main story.
Or is that not the right one?
The Elder Dragon.
The wind
names are
one.
confusing.
Oh, the wind one?
Yeah, with like the tornadoes.
Oh, I don't remember what that one is called.
Val
Anyway.
Hazak? Is that Hazak? Or is that the one in the poison area?
No, Valhazak, I'm pretty sure, is the poison area one. Then you have Teostra, which is the flame one. But what is the wind one? It's funny I don't remember that one because that was easily the most annoying fight.
Well, I guess we're not very good at Monster Hunter, but I don't even know the names of the Elder Dragons.
It's just confusing.
Yeah. I played some. I've been getting back into Gears Tactics a little bit, which I'm a huge fan of, like turn-based tile strategy. And Gears Tactics is like a. It's XCOM 100%. They like played XCOM. They're like, what if we made a Gears of War XCOM game? And that's what they made. Not that that's bad. It's fun. I think I'm probably like 75% of the way through it, I would guess. I'll eventually work my way through. Some of the balance in that game is a little weird. I feel like grenades are just destructive. Like, if I have a grenade, I'm ready to fight anything. And then once my grenades are on cooldown, I'm scared for 4 turns. But it's not as good as XCOM, but it does a good job of like mimicking what XCOM does. I mean, so much of it, like after the mission, your guys are like walking up, and if they're injured, they'll show it. It just is like a picture of XCOM 2. And just the way you can customize things, like you feel like you're playing XCOM 2.
That's like the type of game where it's like turn based and you kind of move around the grid and then
Yeah,
you attack in turns,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, kind of like
Tactical
what you'd find in
RPGs.
like Fire Emblem or
Yeah.
yeah.
I was on my trip back to Michigan. I pulled out my Switch and I was playing that Mario and Rabbids game.
Another like XCOM completely.
Yeah, I was getting very frustrated. I don't think those games are for me, but
Yeah,
I think you need a fundamental understanding of like strategy with the weapons and stuff like that too.
I mean, if there was any of those I recommend playing, it's probably XCOM 1 to start with, but it can be particularly brutal in the ways it messes with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if I would want to throw someone into XCOM. I mean, if you're looking for a really good one that I don't think is that difficult overall, would be like Final Fantasy Tactics, which I mean, it's like from the '90s, like late '90s, early 2000s. But
You can get it a lot of places. Like you can get it on the iOS store. I know. I have it on my iPad.
yeah, because they re-released it with War of the Lions. But
Mhm.
that's one of my favorite games of all time. So that comes with a high recommendation for me.
Also, I don't know if you want to play it on the iPad. As somebody who's played it on the iPad, the touch controls can be kind of like tiring. Like there's been times when like I kind of want to play, but I don't really want to deal with the touch controls of like spinning this map around.
Yeah. What I'm kind of hoping for is because I heard rumors through the grapevine that Square Enix is remastering it, which
Really,
I want with every fiber of my being.
that'd be pretty cool. I wonder if it'd have enough of a market though. You know,
And
like you wouldn't think it would have a huge draw, but maybe they can do it for a. I guess like remastering, like just cleaning up the textures, or like remastering, like kind of rebuilding the maps.
I don't know actually.
Gotcha.
I'd say like it's literally through the rumor mills, and it seems like those rumors are kind of in their infancy. So if they are remastering it or remaking it, I don't know all that would look like.
I gotcha. Um, yeah. Any other games you guys played this week?
I did.
Go
Go ahead, Kudra. Well, I was gonna say I did get the chance to play that alpha of that Hyenas game.
Right, right.
And I don't know about it. It's interesting. I think
Yeah.
the most bothersome thing about it is they had the giant ass watermarks across the fucking screen the entire time I was playing.
Oh, really?
So you couldn't record it, or
Hmm.
I mean, that's so you can't record it or take screenshots and share it,
Right.
obviously.
Right.
So it just had my my Steam name and then the time like dotted around the screen. It was just
Right.
it was frustrating. And then every time I got in the game, I felt like the other teams are just so sweaty. It was just insane.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I feel like these types of games, there's just always going to be that population that just is there just to get so good at the game, just so they can say that they're good at the game. You know, just to be the best. I don't know. It was frustrating, but it was
people
unique.
play a lot of competitive games for though, right?
I know. I guess I can give some information. Obviously, I'm not going to show anything, but essentially, you're in a team of 3, and there's 5, and then 5 teams of 3, and you pick an agent, and each agent has their own weapons, and a special ability, and so, you kind of have to move around the map and gain loot. And the way you gain loot is you have to crack these safes, and then so you find a safe, you start cracking it, and there's these AI like defending security bots and humans and bots that like try to stop you if they see that you're trying to crack into the safe.
Okay.
So I don't know, and then the main mechanic I think that kind of makes it different than any of the other like kind of battle royales is there's these zero gravity like zones. So in some places you can turn the gravity on and off.
Okay.
And so I was using a controller, or no, I was using keyboard and mouse, and so you'd use your jump button essentially to kind of move through the zero gravity. So you jump, and then whatever direction you were pointed in, it would launch you in that direction. And then you'd like latch onto the wall, and then you could kind of bounce your way around.
I gotcha.
So
outside of that, though, it kind of sounds like you're just describing like what a lot of the hero shooter battle royale games are.
Yeah, because you can't change your weapons. You're stuck with the same weapons. Really? So each agent has their own weapons. And I think there's like slight upgrades to like the rate of fire, like your magazine.
Sure. Okay.
Like you can pick those up. But in terms of like actually changing your weapons, you can't change them during the game. You can only increase you get shields and health packs.
That's interesting.
The only loot.
I feel like most of those battle royale games, like the part of the fun of that loop is like starting out and building up your character that round to kind of decimate other people. So are the rounds like shorter? Is there other kinds of upgrades you found, or is it just really much quicker kind of rounds?
They're definitely a lot quicker than like a regular battle royale because you can spend time looting, but essentially the only thing you're looting for is shields. So you start with no shields and you can get 50 or 25. So the typical, max 150 amount of health.
I gotcha.
And so obviously the 50 shields are harder to find, and then the 25 shields are easier to find. And then you can pick up the health packs and shield packs. So once you get injured, then you can replenish your shield or your health. And then there's different types of grenades. So there's flash grenades. There's these foam grenades that when you throw them, they create this foam barrier. And I think there's a regular frag grenades too. So that was kind of cool. And then each agent has their own ability. The person that I was playing with, her ability was she could create her own gravitational field whenever she wanted. So I could go zero gravity whenever I wanted, while everybody else was kind of on the ground. Because it is a very vertical game. It's meant to be played up and down, and it's inside, so it's not like you're constrained to constrained to a ship.
Interesting.
So.
I guess it sounds, I don't know, so much of it just sounds like half parts of other battle royales or hero shooters. So yeah. I'll see it, but what you're saying doesn't draw me in I need to play this.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely going to rely heavily on microtransactions. It's one of those games that they're going to continuously update with new cosmetics and stuff like that. I assume they're going to add new agents, but it's from your boys over at Sega, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of how Hyenas is. I guess just we'll see what else pops up. Maybe I'll get invited to play another alpha and they'll tweak things, but we'll see.
Interesting. So Kudrow, you watched The Sandman?
No,
don't give us any spoilers. We won't spoil The Sandman. So,
I mean, if I'm going to talk about the premise, I mean, I've only seen 5 episodes.
You can actually, I have no idea what The Sandman is. I just know it's a new show on Netflix. What is The Sandman?
So The Sandman, I didn't know this until I was talking with a buddy of mine today about it. It's actually a comic.
Okay.
It's actually connected to DC. What's interesting about it is that the way they've so far played the show on Netflix, it feels it's completely disconnected from the DC universe, near as I can tell.
I would want to disconnect my show from that universe too.
I mean, considering their latest string of movies, yeah, I'd agree with that. But I mean, here as I can tell, it's interesting. Just to kind of give the very bare bones of the premise. Nothing past episode 1. Effectively, what you have is you have these beings that are called the Endless, and so apparently there's I think there's 7 of them, and they all seem to govern different aspects of reality. The main character that you follow is Dream. Who his name is he actually referred to by several names, which Morpheus seems to be his main name. So anyway, basically what ends up happening is that this mage does a ritual, hoping and ends up basically imprisoning him, hoping to get something. And now Morpheus ends up being in prison for over 100 years. And so, but the problem is that because this man governs dreams and nightmares and such, it ends up causing a whole bunch of crap on the outside, because it's causing all sorts of disruption with that particular aspect of reality. And he also loses all of his all of his tools and his items and such. So most of at least to the part where I am in the series, a lot of it all revolves around him getting those back.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Maybe I'll watch it.
It's really not that. It's pretty good so far. I can say I enjoyed it.
You're about to say it's really not that bad.
It's good. It's honestly a stock phrase of mine. It's almost like a go-to. But
We'll
no,
get you like a little chart of like the 3 levels of.
I can't blame you after the
Kudro's
movies we've been watching.
well, the
Kudro's
problem
watching
is
the
that
movie
all
right
three stock phrases mean the same thing. So,
Oh man.
no, but I seriously, it's good. It's good. Episode episode 5 in particular is a standout.
Gotcha. The only other thing I've been getting into this week is I started Yakuza Like a Dragon. Um, it's been cool. I'll have some more to say on it once I play a little more. I've only played couple hours probably. Seems interesting. It's that's like a Yakuza game, but it's made to be like they're mimicking like Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy style. Like you can call summons on your cell phone and such.
Wait,
Um,
wait. When you say a couple hours, don't you just mean you watched cutscenes?
yeah, pretty much. I watched some.
No,
so
I was watching a streamer do like play a little bit of Yakuza, and like he wasn't even calling it a game; he was calling it
yeah,
Yakuza Movie Night.
right. There's a lot of cutscenes. What I played of the battle system was kind of interesting, so we'll see once that opens up some more. But yeah, so our first ranking, we're gonna do a ranking of video game movies. Uncharted.
Yep,
Get our
Uncharted.
graphics set up. Oh, look at that, beautiful.
Oh, perfect.
So the way we've been running these is first we'll have one of us kind of go through and give a basic plot summary of the movie. So this will be fully spoiled, and we're going to dive into this whole movie, and then we're going to rank it in the overall tier of video game movies at the end. Um, so yeah, we'll start with our plot summary, and then we'll kind of talk about all the different aspects of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So
do we want to start with like the segment
yeah,
like opening?
yeah, and we post this to podcast feeds later, so we'll open it up with a quick segment introduction.
Okay.
Yeah, Kudra's gonna do this one, so Kudra, you can go ahead and just introduce the ranking of video game movies, and then kind of go right into your description.
Oh, wait, so you want me to just like reintroduce ourselves and such?
Basically, I mean, the way we've been introducing is say this is ranking of video game movies, Uncharted, and then say you, and then introduce me and Quinn, and then we'll go right into it.
Fair enough. All right, so this is August 18th, the ranking of video game movies. I'll be leading this one today. I'm Kudro with my fellow co-hosts Quinn
Hey guys.
and Colton.
Hey,
So to jump into it, this movie kind of starts out in medias res. You're starting. You see the very first scene is Nathan Drake, played by Tom Holland. Uh, kind of starting off, he wakes up and he's on this. His foot strapped to this cargo that's tied to a plane that's floating through the air, and then you see him trying to go back onto the plane, and then that ends up cutting into when his brother. So basically we're going back in the past like 12 years or something like that. Nathan and his brother are trying to steal a map. They end up getting caught. Because this has been multiple offenses at this point, Sam ends up leaving the orphanage rather than go to jail. But before he goes, he ends up leaving his ring with Nathan. Like, it's kind of this assurance, hey, I'm going to come back for you one day. And then we do yet another time skip. Here we see Here we see Nathan. He's more to the present day. He's current. You see him working as a bartender, and it seems like he's like one of the main things that he's doing here is showing off, and particularly the wealthy patrons as he pickpockets them. But here is where he meets Sully, played by Mark Wahlberg, a treasure hunter who kind of who kind of gets involved with Nathan because Sully was working with his brother, and Sully spent a lot of time talking about Nathan. So Sully wants to work with Nathan on a new adventure to try to get the treasure that they were going after. So in order to do that, after call it a bit of a rocky start to their relationship, Nathan ends up working with Sully because he wants to find Sam, That's his main motivation. So the very first thing they have to do is they got to steal a couple of keys. They end up going to an auction to steal them, which which one of the things that we get introduced here is that there's another, because there always is in these types of movies. There's another interested party in that treasure, and this one establishes the Moncada. Am I pronouncing that right? Moncada family.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
The Moncada family. He starts talking. Oh, I forget the character's name.
The villain character?
Yeah, Santiago. That's right. So Santiago Montago, this very wealthy family, he's interested in buying the cross because, as some of the history that's discussed in the movie was that the treasure that they're looking for was actually gotten by Ferdinand Magellan's crew and then hidden away from him, which the Moncado family apparently funded that expedition specifically for that treasure, which Magellan decided to hide from them. So the Moncada family seemingly has spent all these hundreds of years kind of bitter about that and wanting to find it again. And apparently, in order to do that, they need to find 2 keys in order to get to the treasure, one of which is being sold at this auction that they're currently at. And working with the Moncada family is this treasure hunter named Braddock, and who Sully has a bit of a history with, that we can tell is very rocky by their first interaction because it's, they're seemingly at odds with one another. So, basically, after some neat little action sequences where Nathan Drake is fighting this like couple henchmen, one with a very thick Scottish accent, ends up stealing the key to the auction, and then they have to travel. And then Nathan Drake and Sully end up traveling to Barcelona to get the other key from Sully's former partner, a woman named Chloe. And then she ends up stealing the first cross from them. You have this one of Colton's favorite things: chase sequences.
So many chase sequences. Oh my gosh.
Like Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're running through the city streets. You're running along rooftops, into traffic, all that fun stuff that we know Colton adores. Well, let's see here. Basically, after Chloe, after Tom, God damn it, I keep wanting to call him by the actor's name. After Drake talks to Chloe, it's like she realizes that even if she has the keys, she doesn't know where the treasure is. So she ends up agreeing to work with Sully and Nate in order to find the gold. So then they start doing like all this investigative work. They have to go into this cathedral. They end up doing like a bunch of stuff like going through like these underground catacombs. You have this really interesting fight scene in the middle of a Papa John's. Some very obvious and more blatant product placement that I've ever seen.
That's a pretty funny line. He comes in, I'm in the middle of a Papa John's.
Yeah.
I think it was for comedic effect.
Yeah.
That is actually one thing I will compliment the movie on, though. It's like all these winding passageways and stuff all end up leading into modern landmarks, which does actually make sense after a few hundred years. So
yeah, I suppose you're not wrong.
Right. It's like Magellan and his men, they knew it was going to still be there, but it was just in a Papa John's.
Like thinking about Papa John's made me angry because it's not very good pizza, but the idea was funny.
Right.
We'll have to maybe one day we'll have to have a ranking of pizza chains. So basically afterwards they end up finding the key. They get the keys to where they need to go in this underground chamber. They find a bunch of pots, and inside the pots they don't find the gold. They find a map, which is going to lead to the location of where the gold actually is. But before and Chloe betrays Nathan and Sully, surprising no one, I'm sure. basically, like, she gives Nathan a some ominous advice about how, like, you really shouldn't trust Sully. He knows more than he's letting on, before knocking him out. And then the very next scene, Nathan and Sully are talking to realize, and then Sully confesses that his brother died because he left him to die, effectively, after he got shot on the job, which causes quite a bit of friction between those two. But they still end up working together again. They end up following. Chloe ends up joining forces with Braddock and Moncada. Then the map is going to go to an island in the Philippines. So Nathan and Sully end up stowing away onto a plane, eventually taking us to where the movie began at. And then in a whole scene, effectively the whole Moncada family thing ends up amounting to nothing, because earlier in the film, Santiago ended up killing his father to make sure the family fortune was there, and then Braddock ends up killing Santiago because she doesn't want him, because she wants the treasure for herself. So, and then all of that, and then Braddock betrays Chloe, and then that all ends up leading to this ridiculous fight scene on the plane. Which, and let's be honest, it is ridiculous.
A lot of the fight scenes are ridiculous.
To be fair, I suppose, to be fair, that's kind of this movie's charm.
Yeah, it is probably the best part of the movie.
Well, yeah, I feel like trying to describe this fight scene is not going to do it justice. Well, when you're looking at all the cargo spilling out of the plane, the fighting on top of floating cargo, and then like all of that landing into the ocean, the free falling. Yeah, I'm not even going to try. Needless to say, basically, after the plane fight, it's Chloe and Nathan washing up onto an island of the Philippines, conveniently right where they need to be, effectively. You end up with the Nolan North cameo, who voices Nathan Drake in the games.
Okay, that's who it is. I didn't know that. I knew that was someone important. I just forgot to follow up and check who he was.
Yeah, I didn't know who it was either. That's specifically why I followed up with that. It's like, I'm sure that's a joke that's going over my head. So, but yeah. So then a plot point that I forgot to describe at the beginning of the movie. Sam had been sending Nathan postcards for a number of years after he left the orphanage, and so they kind of come back to prominence now because Nathan starts investigating these cards and ends up finding a hidden message in them that helps him by using the note cards, the map, as well as the two keys, because they can kind of be used. To like point to a specific treasure on the map by like taking out like two of the needles, sticking them on the map at certain points, and then they kind of point to the actual location of the treasure. But before he does this, because he's with Chloe, he ends up misleading Chloe by giving her a fake set of coordinates, which causes her to effectively just be out of the rest of the movie. And then Nathan goes off to find the treasure, which he does find it first, but Sully and Braddock both follow him. And then from there, you have this very, very even more grandiose and ridiculous fight atop helicopters and 500-year-old ships. And then at the pinnacle of the movie, effectively, Sully has his treasure, but he sacrifices it to save Nathan. Braddock ends up having one of the ships crash down on her head, killing her. And then the Philippine government ends up basically taking control of the treasure. So no one gets the treasure out of any of the cast that we're following,
except for the bag that. Except for the pockets that he stuffed. That
look at this stuff I got for you.
Stuffed his pockets. Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right.
And also where he gives up the gold to save him at the end.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was. I should have made that. Maybe I should have made that a little bit clearer. But yeah,
Right. Big
Um,
character development for Sully.
yeah, I mean,
yep.
what can you say about this film? The Indiana Jones of Ocean's 11 movies? A
I will
soap
say
opera of betrayals? Like
I
I will say it's sort of refreshing, not gonna lie.
what? Oh,
really.
think of the soap opera names though, like Drakes of Our Lives,
It's
The
true.
Tomb Raiders and the Beautiful.
Maybe it was just because it's actually a newer movie that we're
Oh
watching
my
this
god.
time. But it
Honestly,
wasn't
I
anything
kind of get
special. But
that.
it was just like, okay, I know what I'm gonna get. This is what I got. Like that's fine,
Yeah,
right? Like
I
Tom
don't
Holland, like what he's gonna say. Like his action sequences, like his fighting sequences are like, oh, that like they're kind of cool. Like the moves he was doing is like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then Mark Wahlberg's humor, you're like, oh, yep, that's Mark Wahlberg.
but I don't disagree with you in that. I think the fight scene choreography, and some of the comedy stuff is the best part of this movie. I, however, don't feel like that saves it from the like just uh, shallow, like children's cartoon level of plotline emotion that we see through the rest of the movie. Like just endless chase scenes, the worst parts of Indiana Jones with better action scenes.
Right.
Um, I don't know. I felt like there were so many like the fight scene was cool, and then they'd have to like stop and do some weird one liner that like I'm just like what like or
Yeah.
but oh
that's
man.
literally every action movie, though. I mean,
It it was
how many
giving
of
me
them do like one-liners, like either before or after?
Yeah, I
right.
feel like this one really indulged in that though. Like it was like the whole movie was just one-liners everywhere. And it's like I just felt like it was predictable in a way, and like the cool stuff I think was like the chase scenes, and like the visual aspects of it looked kind of cool. But then you have the stuff where they have like how many like the plane fight scene where they're falling out of the plane, and like how many times did people bash into solid objects at high velocities and had no disorientation effects at all? Or like when they smash into the water on top of the crate. um I don't know. In like
Hmm.
the part where he picks up the gun holster thing, what's that called, where it goes around your shoulders?
I,
I think it's just a shoulder holster, I think.
The
yeah, I think you
shoulder,
literally said it with like the holster. I think that
yeah,
was
the
what you said.
shoulder holster scene, right? Like that scene. Okay, so when he picks up the shoulder holster, that's like Nathan Drake in the first Uncharted, right? Like that's like what that scene was, where he becomes like that character. Like I
Yeah,
feel
he's
like
kind
that
of
Right.
completing
I
the signature look.
I thought that was a really cool way to do that. I thought it actually worked pretty well. It wasn't like forced. It was kind of like a call out to this thing, but it wasn't like bashing you in the face with it. Like we're gonna deliberately word this out for you so you understand what we're saying. Um,
Right.
I,
It was
I
giving me
guess,
Fast and Furious vibes. Not gonna lie.
but it
Well,
was
maybe
like
the later films.
Fast and the Furious, but the opposite of family. Like Fast and the Furious, if you
Right.
didn't have family, because everybody
Right.
betrays everybody.
Right. Right.
I think towards the end, I tired of the constant backstabbing over and over again. It's kind of like, oh, I wonder if this person's going to betray the other person. And it's like they kept saying like, oh, this person's going to betray you, don't trust him. This person's going to betray you, don't trust him. And that was the whole thing.
And then the
Um,
irony is like Sully is kind of like the one person who didn't betray Nathan,
yeah, by the
other
time
than the fact that he was just keeping secrets from him.
right, well, by the time at the end where he like throws the bag and saves him, like, okay, great, great. It's all culminated to you not letting him die at the end with
Right.
the boat.
I couldn't. I don't know. Sully's character, like, how can you be so stupid but so like smart? I don't know. Like, I understand like Drake is supposed to be the one that's like figuring everything out or whatever, but he literally had to do all of the like puzzle solving and treasure hunting and everything, and it just seemed like they tried to make Sully out to be like some like really cool like spy treasure hunter guy, like slick, like he stole the chain out of his pocket in their first meeting, and like he was like, oh, I knew you'd call me, and like they like try to like gas him up as like this like smooth like spy guy, and then he can't. I don't know. He just was.
Yeah.
And maybe it's Mark Wahlberg's like
He's got,
acting
like,
style, or I don't
two
know.
different roles, right? It's like
Right.
sometimes he's this ace theft, and then other times he's like this like goon who can't figure out what the hell's going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, what else? What did you guys like about this? Like, what other things? What aspects kind of are you looking back and saying, "Oh, that was"? Because it
I
seems
like the
like you guys.
postcards. I
Oh,
thought
okay.
the postcards were good. They
Yeah.
kind of pulled that all the way through,
Mhm.
through
Yeah.
the movie. I thought the puzzle solving was a little shallow, but I think, like I said, the postcards kind of, finished it because I didn't really think about it. And then when he pulled them out, I'm like, oh yeah, like use the flame to check where, check one of the postcards for the secret message. I thought that
Mhm.
was really, really nice touch. And then, like you said, the holster thing to kind of put forth Nathan Drake as Nathan Drake, according to the video games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the constant like betrayals was just tiresome. I did like how Nathan finally, learned his lessons and put the fake coordinates down for Chloe before, she took them and left. I thought that was a nice touch just to show him that, he's actually learning.
Was that our
what
character
to do.
development for the movie?
I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was a decent movie. I think going in, you kind of, got what you expected, especially for this day and age. So,
Yeah, yeah, Kudrow, what's your?
I mean, I kind of have to agree. I mean, like, I definitely did like the flame thing where it's like, because you see him in the orphanage, like, Sam and Nathan are communicating through hidden messages with the fire,
Mhm.
exposing that hidden ink. And then that gets the call back with the secret messages with the postcards. It gets that payoff. I did like that. The action sequences are utterly ridiculous, but I can say that I enjoyed I mean, they definitely embraced how over the top they were, and I can I can appreciate that.
I can't appreciate. I can't believe you guys are giving this movie such a pass just for being. It's what we expected. You guys
Well, I feel like the thing is
giving it
like
a pass.
this is this movie is a popcorn flick from start to finish. It is a perfectly average globe-trotting action adventure film with a bunch of thieves constantly stabbing each other in the back. This isn't a story. This isn't a story that's like new to anyone. It's like I'm sure there's like multiples of this, like the Tomb Raider movies. I just even watched one on Netflix earlier this year. What was it, like Red Notice or something like that, with The Rock and
Oh, I didn't see that.
right.
with The Rock and Ryan Reynolds. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just, I mean, again, like there's nothing new. There's nothing new about this movie. It is cliche to its core, but that's really but I feel like that's added. I feel like that's the worst thing I can say about it is it's cliche.
I feel like the characters are pretty boring. It becomes at some point in the movie, I don't know if it's halfway, it becomes just a never ending chase scene, which I find really I found it grating to watch the movie outside of the action scenes.
Do
Like
you have a different definition of chase scene than I do? Because like I don't see where like never ending chase scene is.
they like stop to sleep for a night, and then one of them backstab the other one, and they're off on a chase again. Like it's just like a go here, go here, go here, go here, and it's like have a conversation here, chase somebody, go here, have a conversation here, and it's kind of like this is like everything I hate about like video game and comic book movies is like the kind of shit this movie does where it's like it's not even going for anything. It's like let's just make a boring fucking movie where they steal an object and then let's put some outlandish stuff in there. Like what about this old pirate ship? They could probably lift that with a helicopter. Like what the hell is lifting that thing with a helicopter? Just within like 10 minutes they had that thing hooked up to the helicopter, pulled it the fuck out of there, and like this would work. Like that would not work. It's like these things all just build on me as I'm watching, and by the end, I'm like, this is a fucking joke. Like,
well, no, I mean, like, okay, if I were to break my suspension of disbelief, like, I'm not even sure, like, because what was it? Ferdinand Magellan's was like 1400s, 1500s. This is taking place in modern day.
yeah,
So 500 years of a wooden ship being exposed to the elements, that there probably wouldn't even be a ship there.
right. Okay, so
Much less the fact that, much less like even if there was, like, in no way would you be able to fly it out of there like that. Absolutely not.
and like I guess suspension of disbelief, fine. Suspension of disbelief is the force and people controlling shit with the force. Where it breaks is when Princess Leia goes out into space and just doesn't have oxygen out in space and she just lives because of the force. This is that Princess Leia level of like suspension of disbelief where I'm like, I'm out. This is a joke. That's what I feel about this movie. And I feel like a lot of them kind of go into this and people seem to like it. I don't know, but when I watch it, I'm like, well, can't. It's like they're not even trying to make like a good story. That's not even the goal of it. It's just like put a lot of cool. And the action scenes are cool, but then the whole story of the movie, I'm like, really? Like this is where we're at right now?
Yeah, but it's made to make money, right?
Right? Yeah. And I'm here to watch it and say how good it is.
But like
And I
what you're
don't.
saying, it's a popcorn flick. Like when you
Yeah.
did you watch the post credit scene?
Yep.
Oh
Right
yeah, with
after
the
sequel.
postcard. Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, yeah.
Does that make you want to watch like Uncharted 2?
No.
Right. I don't think like I think they
and
just slapped it on there to like to go with the trend or like
and
like it's
I
just a movie.
I talk shit a lot about like the Avengers movies and that stuff for being like shallow and kind of cheesy. And I feel like this is worse. Like those to me, those are what I would call a popcorn flick. Like I can sit through the Avengers and not feel it being like grating. This movie is like grating. I'm like, I don't want to. I wanted to stop. I'm like, I hate that I have to watch the rest of this movie.
Yeah. I don't know. I that's a whole different discussion, I think. Because like, was it one of like the Avengers movies that comes to mind is I think it's Iron Man 2,
Okay.
which was like I think one of the best Avengers movies
Mhm.
where he
What?
where he maybe I'm thinking of the wrong one.
That's the one where he fights the guy with the whips. I don't know
Oh
his
yeah,
comic
not
book
that
name.
one.
I was about
I'm
to
getting
say,
it
like,
mixed up.
Iron Man 2 is one of the best. We got to have a conversation about that.
Maybe I'm thinking of the original then. Anyway,
Iron Man.
I don't
Iron
want to
Man.
get too far out of
Sure.
here, but yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. Never mind. Scratch that. Clear that from the record.
Cut that.
Right.
Um,
I don't know. I think that's like it's a treasure hunting film. Like you're gonna go, it's gonna be pretty linear.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can do anything else with a treasure hunting movie.
It's, as I said, it's a cliche.
To me, I mean, do you guys feel like a lot of like Ocean's 11 vibes towards the beginning and then like a lot of Indiana? I feel like I felt a lot of Ocean's 11 vibes through the first half of the movie, and I felt a lot of Indiana Jones through the second half. Really felt a lot of Indiana Jones.
I've never seen Ocean's 11.
Me either.
Oh my gosh. Guys. Anyways, to me, this felt like he's like getting the crew together, like finding the people and like doing this heist. And it very much felt like Ocean's 11. We'll have to watch it sometime. But I think that's probably all the good things I have to say about this movie. What else you guys got? Anything else? Are we ready to rank this thing?
I don't know.
I don't have
I'll
anything
watch
else to say.
if they do
We can
make a
rank it.
sequel. I'll probably watch it, but
Alrighty,
that's about
let's
it.
rank this movie. Let me pull up our list here. Sorry, I didn't have my list up before.
I will say, Mark Wahlberg's humor did, like in the beginning, it was kind of nice, but
Oh, the one where he talks about like I don't know the phone apps thing.
yeah, I don't know. Sometimes, like as it went further and further in the movie, I'm like, all right, that's enough of you, Mark.
It's enough of you, Marky Mark.
It's Mark
Yeah.
Wahlberg play. It's Mark Wahlberg playing Mark Wahlberg. It kind of feel, and that's the one thing too. Is like Nathan Drake just feels like Spider-Man in a different skin.
I guess before we rank it, we can give our individual rankings.
Right.
So my ranking for this movie is an E. I debated like, does it deserve a D minus? And then I remembered we don't have minuses because we're a positive podcast, and I put it in the E tier. So it's an E for me personally.
That's why we don't have minuses.
Yeah, it's a positive podcast.
Oh my god.
So it's worse than Final Fantasy for you? Or
No,
what
if
was
I
your
give Final Fantasy an F, this
Okay.
is so.
This is a little bit better.
I debated if it deserved a D because I did want to give it some credit for the action scenes, but just overall, I felt it to be. I could see the argument for a D, but I just think personally it's an E for me. Kudro, you got like an A or something?
No, absolutely not. Matter of fact, it's an S plus.
Get out of here.
No, as I said, like this. I mean, this is a cliche, average movie, and I feel like I'm just gonna give it an average rank of a C. It is it's a popcorn flick through and through. Watch it once and then forget about it tomorrow.
A burned popcorn flick.
But yeah, I think it's right around a C.
I gotcha. All right. Quinn, where are you at?
I'm in agreement with Kudrow. I'm gonna put it at a C.
Oh my gosh.
It's definitely better than Final Fantasy. That's
100% better than Final Fantasy. That's why it's not an F. All right. Let's go to the ranking now. So, our only other ranked one so far is Final Fantasy Spirits Within, which we decided on an E because somebody rated it above an F.
And you know what? I stand by that.
I ranked it a D.
All right. So, we've got Uncharted here. You guys both gave it a C. I gave it an E. I mean, are you guys agreeable to a D, or do you feel strongly this should be in the C tier? Yeah.
When we're looking at which we can revise, obviously, but when we're looking at video game movies, I think
A lot of them are bad.
When you look at it, you gotta curve to the top.
All right, Kudrow, you feeling strongly this should be in the C tier for now?
I'm certainly. I agree. Your opinion should be ignored, Colton. The C is clearly average.
All right. It sounds like. All right, fine. We'll leave it in the C. All right. Uncharted then is a C in our ranking of video game movies.
All right. So what's next? Next week we're watching
The Mortal Kombat.
What are we watching? Mortal Kombat movie from what year?
1995.
Yeah, the original one.
Okay. The original Mortal Kombat. Got it. And we'll be ranking that next Thursday, August 25th.
Shout out to Grab a Mango on the Twitch chat. It is his birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Grab a Mango.
We'll miss you next week.
What do we have any segments today? Did I have any segments today?
I can do our Steam review of the week.
Oh, I love Steam review of the week. So Kudrow and I are currently tied at 1-1.
This game you guys
Don't
both
forget
be
the
familiar
genre
with.
this time, Quinn.
Oh yeah. That's a good point. Let me pull that up. Okay. So let's look here. So this is a fairly recent video game, released March 19th, 2020.
March 19th, 2020. Okay.
Yep. It's a action FPS
March 19th, 2020.
game.
Okay.
So the first Steam review, which it might give it away, honestly, but we'll see. It's recommended with 22 hours on record. And the review goes, good game with good Christian values.
It's an FPS shooter with good Christian values. Dang it.
An FPS?
It's an ironic review.
Right. It's mocking. I'm trying to think what game mocks FPS in 2020. Oh,
So first-person shooter? It's not a third. It's not like a third-person shooter or anything.
Nope.
what game? What FPS game like mocks Christian values?
Is it Doom? Doom
Oh,
Eternal?
dang, that's a good guess. That's not. Did Doom Eternal come out in 2020? I think it came out earlier than that, but that's a good guess. I would take. There's no new South Park game, is there? No. There hasn't been a South Park first-person shooter since like the Nintendo 64. I'll go with. It's like I think of a game and I'm like, oh, that didn't come out in 2020. I'll go with World of Warcraft. Final answer.
Okay. Yours is Doom Eternal, Kudrow.
Yeah, I think that came out right around 2020.
You might be right. I don't remember.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Okay. It is Doom Eternal.
Oh, nice
Good
job.
guess.
Very
Yes,
first
good
pick.
guess. Yeah. Yeah. Good guesses. So I guess I kind of gave it away, but I can read the other reviews just for fun.
Yeah.
The second one, this new Mick Gordon album has an excellent demon slaying game attached to it. 11 out of 10 with rip and tear.
Yeah, that definitely
Would
give
have got it off that one. Yeah.
And then the last one, just for shits and gigs. My girlfriend left me because I spent $90 for this game instead of taking her to a fine dining at McDonald's. But it doesn't matter. Women are temporary, but Doom is eternal.
$90.
Hey.
What did you get in the $90 version?
Probably like a special edition. or
Yeah,
something.
there's like the deluxe edition or whatever. The franchise bundle is what, $115.
Huh.
Yeah.
Did you guys
That's
play
Doom.
Doom Eternal at all? Or the
No.
Doom 2016?
Nope.
Oh, Doom 2016 was so much fun. And then I played Doom Eternal. And it's kind of like more of the same thing, but more complex. And I did not get all the way through it. I don't remember why I stopped playing, but playing through that first Doom was so fun at the time. It's just, it's so fast paced.
Right.
Yeah, fun.
My
game.
favorite running gag with the Doom franchise is that Doom can run on anything. So people will program Doom to run on, whatever has a digital display.
Yeah, what's all right, pick your best Doom operating system. I would have to go with the fridge. Like when they had it running on a fridge. That was pretty. I'd like to play Doom on my fridge.
What? I haven't heard about this at all.
That was a while ago where people playing Doom on their fridge. How many fridges have screens? Like
the Samsung ones.
I feel like I've seen like the idea of a fridge with a screen on it, but I don't think I've seen a lot in practice.
Here, let me look. Here's the first article. 15 things that prove Doom will run on literally anything. let's see. You can play it on your TI 84 Plus. Your
Wait,
Apple
how do
Watch.
TI-84 Plus? Isn't that just like a pixel screen, like with like
Yeah,
2 colors?
yeah.
That sounds like a terrible
Well, this
experience.
video, they did it out of 100. They not only did they play it on the calculator, but they powered it with moldy potatoes. So it was a kind of a double whammy.
I've been kind of feeling like I want to play Pokemon again. I watched some YouTube video, and you know how it goes. You watch like a couple videos and then like YouTube's like, "Hey, do you want like 50 more of these?" And
Right.
I was watching a couple Pokemon videos. I'm like, might be kind of fun to play some of the new Pokemon game.
Yeah.
I have heard good things about Pokemon Legends Arceus. Arceus.
Arceus.
I don't know. Arceus. Well, however the heck that name is pronounced.
I like Arceus, Pokemon Arceus.
I always thought it was supposed to be like,
Oh
like
God.
Zeus, but I don't know. I might be wrong about that.
I think it's Arceus, but I don't know. I don't know where you
It's
get
Arceus.
the Zeus part from. I don't know where the Z is.
No, that's what I was like, the C, it's got more like the soft sound than the hard
Yeah.
one, but I don't know. Regardless, I mean that game looks. I feel like that's an interesting a step in the right direction to Pokemon really starting to mix up some of its formula.
Mhm.
I was watching a buddy of mine play it over in Jackson. It's not enough to get me to buy it and invest the time in it, but it looked interesting.
Gotcha.
I've heard good things about it.
And then I know, oh God, what is it's Scarlet and
Violet.
Violet. Yep, that's coming out pretty soon.
Yep.
Yeah, I was actually looking at like the Brilliant Diamond one. Just play some old style Pokemon.
Oh, that's back in Gen 4.
Quint's shaking his head. Do I not want that one? You heard bad things about it?
I've heard like the remaster is literally just like they literally just took the game and like ported it over and like.
Oh, it's
you know
not
how
like
you have 2D,
it's not like
you know how you have like 2D like moving in the
okay.
DS?
So
it's literally like even though you have 3D, like it's still like the like stuff is like 2D.
So it's not like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee where they rebuilt the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think so.
Oh, never mind. I don't want to play it then. I thought I was gonna get because the whole fun of Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee is just it's that same like red, blue, yellow, but it's so fun having the full models of all those Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl is like it's just Gen 4 remastered, so that's your very traditional Pokemon game experience.
Right. And I never played those originally, so
no, I haven't played a Pokemon game since Gen 2. Showing my age a little bit.
Got Gold and Silver?
Yep. Gold, Silver, Crystal.
That's where I stopped as well.
But I spent a lot of time with Silver and Crystal though.
The Hoenn region?
Johto.
No, I'm saying the third generation.
Yeah.
Oh, Gen 3?
Sapphire, Ruby and Sapphire was that was my first generation, so.
The Gen Z.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to touch on those Dooms real fast. What you can play Doom on. So you can play an Apple Watch. Someone did it on a beveling machine. Someone got it on their. You know how the MacBook Pro has like that touch bar?
Yeah, somebody played it on the touch bar.
On the touch bar, which is like not even like an inch wide. So I don't even know like how you could play that. Like how like the resolution wise, like how you would be able to see enemies.
Oh my gosh, that sounds terrible.
There's a way.
Someone put it on their printer screen. And then someone put it on like an old like Sony phone, like one of those like 2000s like brick phones,
mm-hmm.
with just the touch, the 4-way touchpad buttons.
God, that sounds gross.
We got a camera, like the camera screen, like the digital camera screen.
Yeah,
which I don't even. That's crazy. And then the last two, and an old iPod, like the original iPod, the old Nano, the old iPod Nano, if you believe that. And then the last one, someone got it up and running on a ATM machine. So, if
wow.
it seems like if it has a screen, there's a way.
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay, but I think this is the most ridiculous one that I've seen. I had to look this up just to see if it was real. But you have a guy running Doom inside of Doom.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I
I
do
saw
remember
that.
seeing that.
I did play the original Doom once. I didn't play for that long because it was.
Yeah, it's if you didn't play it a long time ago, going and playing Doom now is kind of like it's not that I don't know. It's not, I guess you don't. Did you feel like it was bad, or you just feel like kind of like it's boring?
Well, I didn't really have much time to play it, and
Yeah,
it was kind of cool because it was like, oh, it's like kind of retro-y and like
right.
Mhm.
But
you know,
I feel like Doom's just slightly boring to play now. But even when I play, I
yeah,
don't think it's bad necessarily now. But it does feel a little boring.
Really? I feel
right.
like
Like
if
it
I
was
went back and
revolutionary
played,
for its time.
I feel like if I went back and played Doom, I would still have fun with it.
Yeah, I think I got it. Like, where's the last time I played it? It was like an Xbox arcade game that I played at one point. So I think I have it on like my old Xbox.
Yeah.
But
The only place I found it was I was in the communications building at Michigan State, and they had like some gaming computers that had a bunch of old games like loaded onto them. So I was
so
like,
you
Oh,
"Oh,
that's
played
so
Doom's there!"
Doom.
cool.
So I played Doom.
That's funny. Um, all right, shall we do our ranking of Cage for today?
Let's do it.
All right, so we're going to be doing ranking of Cage part 5, actually, Racing with the Moon. So we'll go into it here now. And again, the way we do these, I'll kind of read through a whole plot summary, spoil the whole movie, and then we'll talk about it. So, all the graphics in place, and here we go. All right, this is Ranking of Cage Part 5, Racing with the Moon. I'm Colton Wallace, joined by Quinn Foster
Hey guys.
and Scott Kudron.
Hello.
So, first things first, we'll start with the synopsis from Just Watch. In a small coastal California town, Henry and Nikki are pals from blue collar families with only a short time before they ship off to World War II. Henry begins romancing new to town Caddy Winger, believing her to be wealthy. Mischievous and irresponsible, Nikki gets into trouble, which forces the other two to become involved, testing the relationship as well as the friendship between the boys. And this movie was released in 1984. So I'll walk through the movie now. So we have Henry, who's played by Sean Penn, Nikki, played by Nicolas Cage, Caddy Winger, played by Elizabeth McGovern. And so Henry and Nikki are about to be 18 and sent off into World War II. And they work in a bowling alley. And it kind of opens with them like, it shows that they're dealing with this idea of being sent off to war. Um, and then they're out, and you see Henry trying to get the attention of this girl who works as the movie theater attendant. This is Caddy. And eventually he figures out she lives in a mansion, and then he kind of assumes she's rich. So he then finds her again where he's walking around, and Caddy sees him, and then she waves him over and gets him to go on like a double date with one of her friends. So they go out on a double date, and Henry's very socially awkward throughout most of this. But he does talk to Caddy when he's out, and they continue to kind of evolve their relationship. And the movie focuses a lot on these different scenes while they're kind of getting to know each other. And like he takes her to some weird abandoned building where he shows off his piano skills. They discuss the fears of going to war. And it culminates in this scene where they strip and go swimming in a standard looking lake and then have sex on the shoreline. Um, and then in our Nikki storyline, Nikki's girlfriend, Sally, is pregnant and he's trying to get money to pay for the abortion. He asks Henry for help with getting this money together. while hanging out and drinking, he then has a freak out about freedom and the American eagle and tries to get a tattoo on his chest while they're out drinking. And he hasn't figured out how to get the money at this point. Um, then we go back to Caddy is with Henry, and she's trying on some fancy blue shoes, but she doesn't purchase them, which kind of is like then Henry asks her like why didn't she buy them, and they get into a discussion about her money, and Henry asks her for help paying for the getting money for Nikki to pay for the abortion, and then he figures out that she's not actually rich because her mom works at the mansion as a maid, so she's not actually part of this rich family. So following this, Henry agrees to try and help Nikki. And the way they do this, they talk about how they've done it before, is they try to hustle these Navy guys at a pool game. And of course, they lose the pool game in the end. And then they run away without paying up because they didn't actually have the money they bet. And then after this, Caddy doesn't have the money, as we figured out. Her family's not rich, but she talks to the daughter of the rich family, who she seems to have a friendship with from the couple scenes we see. And the daughter gets her the $150 and then basically gets the money. And then Sally gets an abortion. And then after this, Henry's angry at Nikki because he wasn't not being there really for Sally when she had the abortion, and kind of he implies being a shitty boyfriend. They eventually make up and become friends again. And then Caddy and Henry are in love, and like he's going to war. He kisses her before he leaves on the train to go to war. And then at the end, they don't get on the train, but they wait for it to leave. Then they run after the train and jump on it as it's driving away. And that's the end of the movie. That's Racing with the Moon.
Can we talk about how cheerful the ending, like the credits music is for two guys
right.
about
Two
to
guys
go
going
off
to
and
World
fight
War
in
II.
the-
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you guys think about this one?
I thought it was all right. I thought it was kind of cool the way they kind of did it. Obviously, it was an '80s movie set in what 49,
1942. Yep.
1942. So I haven't seen too many movies kind of set in that time period, and then especially since it's made in, in the '80s. I feel like it gives a more true like setting, I guess. It's kind of closer versus if somebody were trying to make a World War II video
that's true. I guess
movie
it's like
right now,
almost 40 years
right?
later.
Versus 80 years, but Nicolas Cage definitely played a Nicolas Cage character in this movie.
Right. Yeah.
Loud and drunk and outspoken. So I think he was the perfect person for the role again.
Yeah, almost like his attitude in Valley Girl.
Right. Kind of doesn't give a shit about anything, drinks all the time, is, kind of carefree, obviously, until he gets this girl pregnant. And
right. Even after, though, he's kind of carefree and...
Right. He's like, he's accepted his fate, essentially, right?
Right.
Going off to war.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the movie kind of revolves around that idea of going off to war, right? Like that's the background underlying thing, I feel like, in all the situations for describing kind of the way a lot of the people are acting has to do with the war and the fact that they're going off to war, right? Like a lot of the stuff is kind of it's all in the orbit of that they're going off to war.
Right. And you kind of saw that with when Caddy took him into the medical ward at the hospital, or
right,
the army ward or the military ward, and he kind of talks to the one dude with his arm or his leg chopped off or blown off or whatever happened to him, and he gets upset at Caddy for taking him there because he thought that Caddy was trying to teach him a lesson about joking about being injured at all, and so
right. I felt like it did a pretty good job of like bringing up that World War II related stuff without like just straight up saying it right to you with a line of dialogue. I felt like it did an okay job of like kind of bringing the war stuff up more naturally as opposed to like outright forcing it into dialogue lines.
I definitely agree with that. I think they presented it in a very stomachable way, I guess. Not as harsh as you could have done it, I guess, but because it's such a main theme, I think that it did it very well.
Mm-hmm. So, $150 was the money Nikki was trying to get for the abortion, and I was trying. I'm thinking like, I wonder what that would amount to now. And according to an inflation calculator that I found on the internet, it says that $150 in 1942 would be equivalent to $2,700 in 2022.
Hmm.
So, quite a large sum of money if we're to believe that.
That sounds about right, though.
That's a lot of money. Dang.
Yeah, right.
I remember they were talking like they were sitting outside the trailer or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, it's not a bad gig. $150 for like an hour of work or something like that, probably."
Right.
It's like, kind of grotesque.
Yeah. Kudrow, what do you think about this? You can tell by his face he hates it.
Okay, that hate's a strong word. Hate's a strong word. I don't know. I mean, this movie took me 2 sittings to go to finally finish, just because the movie just. I mean, there are times I just kind of felt bored.
I gotcha.
And you know what? One of the things I did remember, like going back to the movie girl, like the girl in the movie,
Valley Girl,
the tickets and such.
Wait,
I don't even remember.
Caddy,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, and then Sean Penn's character, he's clearly fix it. Like, was stalking just something they did?
Oh, dude,
in the
I
80s?
know. I feel like so many movies that like take place in like the 80s or earlier. There's so much like weird like stuff like that happens. But yeah, like where he jumps on the bus and just like follows her up to her house.
Yeah, it's like,
Wild.
that's so creepy.
Yeah. Super. 100%.
But at the very least, the one thing I will appreciate about this, like, if you're gonna do this creepy thing, I can at least appreciate the fact that it's played for drama, and the fact that it leads to this massive misunderstanding.
Yeah, I guess that was the way they chose to show that misunderstanding, right? And you have to think what maybe. Yeah, there's no way around it. It was weird.
Yeah,
right.
Like just a few of the other things that kind of stood out. It's like I was curious because there was the one scene, going back, you're talking about the World War II, where they were almost doing the almost like World War II drills. Like there was this, like the one scene at they're at the school,
Mm-hmm.
and
oh yeah, they were doing like a practice, I think, for like the nurses, maybe like they were like because the nurses were practicing to pick up injured soldiers.
Yep.
And then they changed the music and play some 1940s song, I assume.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering. Like, I really wonder if that was a thing. I guess I have no reason to assume it wasn't, but
right.
It's kind of depressing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what this movie's trying to get to, though, is kind of like the feeling of somebody who's 17, 18 that's about to be sent off to the war. And it's like, and that's why I think it does a good job of showing that, because it doesn't just like outright say it to you, but if you watch it in the context of these are 2 17-year-olds who are about to literally be shipped off to a war, and World War II, like I think that's kind of the drive of what the whole movie's trying to explain.
Well, I mean, it kind of does though, because I mean, it's the characters are asked several times, like, when are they shipping out? And they're like, oh, I'm shipping out in like 6 days, or etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't really have any super strong feelings toward this movie personally. I mean, the romance, I mean, it's movie romance, I guess.
Yeah, it's a little weird and awkward, and I don't know if that's like them trying to capture a 1942 scene. I don't know a lot about 1942 to be honest, so maybe
And
there's some, but I
yeah.
that their like romantic interactions did feel like weird to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, I'm not the only one who felt that way.
what did you think about the lake? Because they talked up the lake like it was this really cool place, and I'm like, that looks like a mildly shitty lake. I don't think I'd want. I mean, eh,
I think they're confined to such a small area that you can find something that's away from everybody else. It's kind of a
right?
nice thing to have.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't a nice lake. It was brown water. I mean, it was kind of serene because it was, away from everybody. But other than that,
You,
yeah.
you know, the one thing I will say, thinking about that scene,
Mhm.
and I didn't really put two and two together until now when I was thinking about it, because Nicolas Cage's character, like, I think it was, I forget the order of the scenes, if it was earlier or later. Well, like when they're drunk walking down the train tracks, and like, Cage is pissed at Sean Penn because it's like, hey, because he after he confessed that he got the girl, he got his girlfriend pregnant,
yeah,
and Sean Penn's all exasperated. It's like, you're no different than I am. You've just been lucky.
yeah,
And that right there, when they're in the lake, they have sex,
yeah.
and I mean, I'd be very surprised if they had any form of protection with
That's
them.
true.
Just
That's
gonna
true.
throw that out there.
Think about that. Do you guys understand what the deal with the train thing was? Because it's on the cover of the movie, and they do it earlier in the movie, and then they do it at the end too. And I do not understand what the idea of like the chasing the train and jumping on it is. That did something just completely
I don't know.
slip
It's
by
probably
me there?
some like metaphor or something like that for the war or like their
I,
lives. I don't know. I'm not good at those types of things.
Yeah.
Like
So
kind of
that
reading into the symbolism of things.
um,
I mean, it
let's talk
seems that's like
about.
a game that they had been playing throughout like their childhood, like train racing,
Oh, okay.
because he explains it to Sean Penn. Yeah, I don't remember any of the character names in this one.
Henry and Nikki.
Henry ends up explaining it to Caddy, where like they're talking about how you gotta run, you run with the run up to the train, you gotta grab it, and you gotta be careful
Mhm.
because like you can get sucked under and
Right.
effectively die.
Yeah. PSA for like anyone that's watching that movie where they jump on trains, it is highly dangerous to try and jump on trains like that. Don't
Yeah,
ever try
moving
to do
train.
that. Yeah, don't do that. um, but yeah, let's talk about 1942 isms. Just weird stuff that is in this movie that's like of a time. Like in the opening scene where the bowling alley and they're manually back there resetting the pins.
I love the bowling alley. That is so awesome that they're resetting the pins and then they throw the balls back. I thought that was so cool.
Oh man. Um, and then like when they're working, like the clothing they work in, it's like full on dress pants and like a button up shirt, which it just seems so weird to think about like doing like a bunch of physical labor in like dress pants now.
Right. Cigarettes all the time.
Yes, well,
Mm-hmm.
and then he smokes a cigarette and throws it on the gym floor. Like it's just
Right.
that's
And
just
then
what
he
you do.
rolls over it.
And then where the part it's with Caddy and Henry when it's showing like their love montage where they're laying down in the middle of a road like that. You don't do that. Like that
Oh
must have
yeah,
been.
that was. I think that goes again like that. Well, some of those scenes were just really weird.
I think, but maybe in 1942 that could have been a thing because like there was a problem. That was earlier than 1942, but like in the late 20s and 1930s, there was a problem of people getting hit by cars because they didn't understand like the idea. Like they would just walk and get hit by cars. People were getting hit by cars all the time when cars were first like becoming a prevalent thing everywhere because there just was no concept of it before. So there were a
Hmm.
ton. There was I don't remember. if it was some administration, I think was like working on ways to get people to pay attention to the cars and not get hit by them. I can't remember. I think it was a podcast I listened to, but um, yeah, it was really interesting. So I do think maybe people just had less like understanding and fear of laying in the middle of a road. But I think that might have been prior to 1942. Um, yeah, so that, and then at the end of the movie when Caddy gives him a wallet picture, that was cute. A cute little World War II 1942ism.
Yeah.
Do people still carry around wallet pictures of loved ones?
I think so.
Okay,
I
maybe people still
Or
do
they put
that.
them in their hat. I know a lot of people like put them in their
Put them in their hat.
They put them in the brim of their hat. Yeah.
Oh,
maybe
interesting.
older individuals do, but I feel like nowadays it's like I feel like if you have pictures of loved ones, you're just
Look
keeping
at
them on
this
your
phone I got. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like our generation has passed like physical photographs, but maybe I may be wrong.
Yeah. So, are we ready to rank this? Or you guys got any more thoughts on this one?
I'm ready to go. I think
All
it's a
right.
solid movie.
Yeah, I think so
But
too.
yeah.
I liked overall, I think I liked it. I kind of liked the way it was presenting its message. Like you said, Kudrow, it was a little boring through some of it. I think some of it could have been a little shorter. Maybe some of the like plot points were kind of dragged out a bit. I found some of it entertaining though. Some of the period piece aspects were interesting, like some of the 1942 things. And I think its message about like these young men being sent off to war and kind of their whole experience leading up to that was an interesting concept. But
Yeah, I think the setting for it. I just feel like I don't think I've seen very many movies with the setting of California,
mhm.
especially in this time period. I feel
Right,
like
and
more like war movies, I'd be like, oh, the Midwest or like, I don't know,
mhm.
the East Coast or like in a city or something like that rather than like rural California.
Well, and also a lot of the war movies are focused on like the war and scenes
Mhm.
like in the battlefield, right?
Right.
Whereas this is like the before that in kind of the pre-shipment phase.
Mhm.
So I guess for me, like I thought it was pretty good. I think I would give this movie. I'm torn between a B and somewhere between C and B. And I think maybe where I land then for me personally is a C plus because I it's it's like an interesting movie to watch, but it can be a little boring. So I don't know if it's quite deserving of being a B. I think I would give it. I think I'd give it a C plus for my personal ranking.
I think that's a good ranking. I think, as far as I'm concerned, a C plus is a solid ranking, like Kudrow and you had said. The slowness kind of gets you a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and which can kind of make you not want to focus on the movie as
Right.
much. But
If you had if I could go in and like cut out like 20 minutes of content, I think maybe this is like a B. But yeah,
right,
a C plus for sure for me.
and I don't know, it was definitely interesting to watch at most of the parts. I think, and Nicolas Cage did a good job, so I think that deserves some recognition as well. So, but yeah, C plus for me.
Beginning to wonder if we need to have like separate rankings where it's like, not do we rank the movie itself, but then we rank the Nicolas Cage performance separately.
Kudrow just wants to trash this movie. He's been waiting to like just really bomb this one.
I mean, I guess I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I mean, like, I don't really have any strong feelings, positive or negative, about this movie. As I said, like, I thought some of the things were a little weird. I'm very glad the stalking as love trope is on its way out as a storytelling thing. I don't know. I could swing between either I could swing between C or D plus. But I'm gonna. I mean, I feel like this conversation's actually made me appreciate maybe some things I didn't. I wasn't really appreciating on the actual viewing, so I'll say C.
All right, Kudrow is at a
Wow.
C.
I think
All
that's the
right.
most consistent
I think
besides
yeah,
Valley Girl.
yeah, I think that is the most consistent. All right, so we got our overall ranking of Cage list here. So we were all at C. So I mean, do we go? Is this in the C tier?
I
And
think so.
then I think I would say this is probably above Leaving Las Vegas. What do you guys feel?
I totally agree with that. That is
You guys both didn't like
no
it.
question.
No,
All right.
I actually disagree with that. I think
Oh,
leaving
oh,
Las Vegas is higher than that.
oh. All right. We can't. I'm torn. There's things I like about Leaving Las Vegas, but I I
Leaving
never
Las
want to see.
Vegas is a F for me, so
Yeah, Quinn hated that movie. I liked it. Because I gave it a B. So
All right, so I'm torn between the two. So if Josh is, whenever Josh is back, probably next week, we'll see what he feels about the movement there. We'll leave it in both in the C tier for now, though. So Racing with the Moon is a C, and if you would like to see the full ranking, you can see it on our website srankmedia.com. Yeah, and that is ranking of Cage Part 5. All right.
we got anything else for tonight?
Yeah, the we'll call this the post show here. I don't think next week for ranking of Cage, the movie is Birdie.
Birdie.
This one looks like a ride. Let me read about Birdie. Birdie. Two young men are seriously affected by the Vietnam War. One of them has always been obsessed with birds, but now believes he really is a bird and has been sent to a mental hospital. Can his friend help him pull through? So he believes he's a bird.
No.
Yeah, so that's our ranking of Cage for next week, and then our ranking of video game movies next week. Mortal Kombat, 1995's Mortal Kombat, the original one, available on HBO Max. Birdie is available on Prime Video, so definitely watch along with us if you want. Yeah, I'll be on the lookout for more Sonic the Movie 3 news as we get closer to the release of that. You can count on me as your source for Sonic the Movie 3 news. After somebody else posts it so I can read it. But
Before I forget, which I know you don't care, Colton, but I'm playing a skate playtest next week. So I'm excited for that because we really haven't seen any gameplay, at least publicly, for that game yet. And I think it's going to be fun. So
interesting. Was Skate the one that had the for the Wii, there was like a board you could buy and you could do like actions on the board and it would translate to the game? I think that was a
so,
Skate game, right?
but I don't think it was Skate 3. I think it was like
No, it was like some
there was
special
a
edition.
separate game. It was called Skate It.
Skate
but
It,
I think
nice.
But I think it's part of the Skate franchise.
Gotcha.
Yeah, looks like there was also that's a different game.
So
Skate It was separate.
When is that supposed to come out?
They don't have a date for it, but
Gotcha.
They've been working on it for so long now.
Have they said like, oh, we're expecting to come out this year? They haven't really set a date at all yet.
That's a good question. I probably should know the answer because I watched they had like a public kind of broadcast about what they were doing with it. I just kind of tuned it out and signed up to see if I could get it into the playtest, but I think it's supposed to be relatively soon. I do know they said that they're not going to rush it. Like they're going to take their time with it. So I think that's part of the reason they haven't released an exact date is, they want to make sure it's well made and not rushed. So,
and this one, are they going free to play online with this one kind of deal? Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, free to play, and then also all DLC is free to play as well. So they'll add new areas and stuff like that.
Yeah, Skate Battle Royale.
Well, the one thing that made Skate 3 a lot of fun was you could create like
You have
skate
lobbies.
parks.
Yeah, with like you could bring friends into lobbies and stuff.
Right, you could bring them into lobbies into the open world, but you could also create your own like maps essentially. So there's some crazy
like a
maps that
Forge
people
mode.
created.
Yeah,
Sort of, yeah.
that's cool.
Like a creative, which you could back with Xbox 360, you could obviously download them and play them, which is a lot of fun. And then they're also, I think, supposed to add like a parkour mode as well. So they're adding a lot of different things to the game.
Interesting.
But the physics, I think, is the coolest part of it for me.
Gotcha. All right, then. Are we out of here?
Well, I can say one more thing. I was actually hoping to go catch it today before the show, but the new Dragon Ball Super movie is out.
You were going to go watch the Dragon Ball Super movie. Mind you, the theater Kudro goes to watch these movies is like near where I live. Kudro was going to go watch this movie, then tell me like a week later, hey, I went to see the Dragon Ball movie. And I didn't.
No, it's actually playing right here. And it's
don't
actually
say
playing
it.
right down
Don't
the road
say
from me.
Okay, yeah. Don't need to put your city out there.
Yeah, no, that's kind of stopped myself. But yeah, it's actually playing right down the road from me, and a very pleasant surprise.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Voltron City. Quinn runs our Twitter account for S-Rank Media. You can find him at S-Rank Media. Kudro, you can find here.
I promise I will make that Twitter account eventually.
We have a website, srankmedia.com. You can see all our different ranking of shows there, and all of the ranking of shows are in podcast feeds, which you can find on all major podcast platforms, or on our website. You'll find links to those. But yeah, so we will see you all next week.
See you guys.